Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome everyone to our webinar today. Thanks for investing your time to learn more about Tago. Today, we're going to be covering the fundamentals of Tago, talk about the 101 of TagoIO. My name is Fabio Rosa. I am the CEO and co-founder of Tago, company located here in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is the agenda for today. We're going to be covering in around 45 minutes the key items here. We're going to be talking first about an overview, just a couple of slides, just to share where Tago is in terms of value propositions, what are the key features, and how you can take advantage from the tools, the information that you have available for everyone to follow later. Then we are going to have a presentation from Matheus. He is one of our front-ender developer, and Matheus is going to be talking about how to connect the devices. So he's going to be doing a demo on live here. Also going to be covering how to build the dashboards and the new feature that you have that the Tago run. In a few minutes, you're going to be showing how to deploy the solution and how to manage the applications in real time. And we are going to have also a Q&A session at the end. We are going to be recording this session so everyone can rewatch again or can share with somebody else that didn't have the opportunity to be here with us right now. Also, you should have right now in your screen the chat and the Q&A small windows open. So feel free to make any questions at any time. I do my best here to answer them in real time if possible. If not, worst case scenario, we're going to answer them at the end. So feel free to make a question, and I hope it's a valid time for everyone. So first, what's Tago? Tago is the cloud platform that has all the features to connect all your devices. We are very used to see platforms with dashboards. Tago has that as well, but it has much more. You're going to learn about that, okay? So you have the integration for the backend, analysis, notifications, integration for other systems, data storage, billing, and the other parts. So let me share a little bit about the key components of Tago. When I talk about IoT, basically, most of the customers, people that we talk to, are really concerned about how do I bring information from any sensor and bring this to our business. So basically, in this diagram here, is from the left to the right. The information can come from sensors or maybe mobile app or database, and it can go through a network, different protocol, can go directly to Tago. And Tago, we have 5 groups of functions. The first one is the device and the user management. With the device management, you are able to create tokens to grant access for the device to send and receive data in real time. You can associate tags to group the devices, enable, disable, and understand the traffic of the data as well. With the user management, it's possible for you to deploy the solution and monitor who is accessing your platform and grant special access for your users, depending on the tags that you associate with each of them. Also, we have the data storage, where is initially load in our system, let's say in the cloud, but you can also download the data, you can control the data, you can enable backups, and you can keep a copy of the data locally, if that makes sense for you. Then we have the analysis, that is a session of Tago that allows you to add code that will treat your data in real time. This can be very simple code that's going to get one information in one format, translate to another one, or you can get the weather information using web services or integrate with other systems or run very sophisticated analytics. The other part is the visualization. Tago has native visualization for the data like charts, maps, table, that runs in all browsers and also can run in the mobile app. The last part is the notification, the integration. You can use our push notification, emails, SMS, and also you can integrate it with other systems. Okay, the other system, I mean, can be something open, or can be maybe your own system in your company. If you have heard about Tago, you have seen some applications before. Most of the applications that are in the market are designed by our customers and developers, but some of them are designed by ourselves. When we support customers, we have applications today in agriculture and services, metering system, industrial applications, industrial equipment, service locations, asset tracks, and so on. One of the difference of Tago related to other platforms are not really one feature or other. Normally is the set of the features, the way that you put things together. But for the fact that we have managed a lot of companies to manage how they are gonna present the information, to who they're gonna present the information in a easier way, so they don't use the platform only to visualize data from the devices, but start to associate this with companies, with users, and so on. Also, we have the Tagolo. That's a possibility where developers, customers can design by themselves and add their logo, URL, and immediately deploy to their customers. Everything is done in real time. Also, you have the data retention, the backups, profile billings. So you have recently released a new billing system where you can have billing information by customers. So if you have several profiles that are kind of sub-accounts, you can track them one by one and use this to track your costs or charge your customers. And of course, we have several ways to integrate with your system using our web service integration. We like also to reinforce the importance of connect and expand solutions. When you talk to customers, we see how important it is to bring information to a dashboard. And then we see that those that generate more value are those that normally expand the application. For example, they use some link to web services to get additional information, to push information. For example, they can get the data from their device and send the data to spreadsheet, Google Sheets, or vice versa. Or they get information from the sensors and the users and then connect it to CRMs that is already available. So that are things that they can build to generate more value from their solution. Of course, our system using the analysis allows developers to create reports that can be very simple reports, just like a simple text with a CSV file, or generate a PDF file with information. For example, if the customers want to receive information every Monday morning at 7 a.m., that of course is possible to do with Tago without the need to add additional service outside of Tago. Or in some cases, the customer wants to receive an email with a map, so it's possible to add such features as such links in the email as well. As we move forward, we started to add more functionality, and we added recently the Tagolo. Tagolo, as Mateus is going to show you later, is very interesting function that allows you to add your logo, add the colors of your company, create the application using your own URL. So that's open a lot of possibilities. Also, you don't need to have a server for that, so it runs on Tago. And also it gets possible for you to manage your users. So if you want the user access your data, the data that you share for them, that's fine. If you want to remove the user, you could do that. So you have control on the application of your user, while keep it very simple for you, your customers, your users, to go to your application, and they don't need to go to Tago. Okay, so that's very interesting. And Mateus is going to show you how to do that in a couple of minutes. Okay, very briefly, that was the key things I would like to show you about Tago. just these minutes. And now, before you go, Mateus, go ahead, I just want to reinforce that we have our free account that allows you to do a lot of things. For example, you can connect up to 5 devices, create 5 dashboards. You can even create your Tagolo. So you just need to go to Tago.io, click and get start, sign up, and make sure you select that box that's called, that's defined that you are a developer, because when you do that, you have all the features available for you. Okay, so if you have any question anytime, feel free to comment there, and you take care about that. Now I will switch here to Mateus. Mateus, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you share your screen? Yes, perfect.
Yes, of course. Just a second. Okay, so let's start. Well, first of all, my name is Mateus. As Fabio mentioned, I'm one of the front-end developers here at TagoIO, and I'm going to be showing to you guys a little bit of a showcase of our system, the main features, the key points, just so you guys can grasp the concept visually of how TagoIO actually works. Okay, so let's begin by the basics. So I'm just gonna put this here, okay. So this is the main screen of our system. In the left side here, as you can see through my mouse, we have a sidebar. This sidebar is where we navigate in our system. So this is the main navigation point, just so you guys understand a little bit. Here we have a home, so this is where we first arrive when we enter TagoIO. And today we're going to be covering devices, buckets, and dashboards. And then later in the presentation, we're also going to cover access. We're going to cover users and run. Access we're going to cover in a later webinar. So this is the main sidebar, as I just mentioned. And another key point that is very interesting to mention is over here, if you follow my mouse, in the top right corner, this is your main user information. So when you log into Tago, this is where you find your main information. Okay, so your account, your billing, your settings, everything related to you belongs here. And everything related to actions and to things you can do, features on Tago, is on the sidebar. So continuing here, we're going to go to devices. So devices are basically a way of receiving data on TagoIO. When you first enter the device screen, you are faced with this other screen. So this is basically the list of all devices that you have on TagoIO. As you can see over here, we have a navigation, and then we have a list with a bunch of fields that you can define on your device. Of course, this account has already a lot of devices, but usually you wouldn't have too much depending on how much you want to scale your application. Over here in the left side, on the right side of your list, there's a bunch of columns. These are called tags. Tags are custom columns that you can put in your device. You can create them and then set a value to them, and then they appear right here on the right side of your list. Okay, we're going to be covering how to create tags in just a bit. I want to put the attention really on this Add Device button. Okay, so this is the main screen, as I just mentioned. You're going to be faced with the screen on pretty much all the other buttons here on the left side, as you can see on my mouse. But for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to be actually creating a device. So I'm going to be clicking here, Add Device. And then we enter on the connector screen. Connectors are basically pre-built devices that make it easier for you to integrate your device with TagoIO. So let's say you have a sensor in your hand, and you want to integrate the sensor by sending data to TagoIO. You can pick an integration here on the left side and just make it easier for you to start sending data, because you don't need to make all the configurations necessary for the device to work. It's already done, right? We have a bunch of integrations here. For example, TTN. We have about, I think, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, there we go. We have 88 connectors here. So all these connectors are basically integrations that are already done in our system, and they are connected to the Things Network platform, right? So there's a bunch of them here. You can enter on TagoIO and just look them up if you feel like it. It's there's 88 integrations here. Just for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to be selecting the HTTP integration, just because it's an integration that all devices can really send. It's a very broad communication protocol, but you can pick anything that matches your physical device, right? So creating a device is really simple. Just so you guys can remember, first I click Add Device, and then I select my integration, which in this case is a custom HTTPS. And then I'm just gonna select Webinar 101. This is the name of my device, so it's as simple as that. Then I'm just gonna hit Create Device. By doing this, I am creating a device in our system. As you can see over here, it's doing a bunch of stuff that is needed for the configuration of device. For example, creating a space for the device data. And then we can just press here, Success. And we are redirected to the device page. This is the main information of your device. When you create a device, obviously you are redirected to this screen, and this is the main information of your device. So here you have things like the device name, the integration that you used. In this case, it's a custom HTTPS, as I just mentioned. And we also have some other interesting stuff here at the top, as you can see where my mouse is. So as I mentioned before, devices are basically a way of associating your physical device with our device here on TagoIO. And you do this association through device tokens. So in your sensor, for example, you have a sensor in your hand, you could send a post data using, for example, HTTP, and TagoIO would identify and would link the devices correctly by using the tokens. You can read more on tokens by accessing this page and reading these little help icons. We have them throughout all application to guide you to understand exactly what we're trying to achieve. Okay, I'm just gonna note another thing that is very quickly. If you feel like you're having trouble with something, you can always just press this little button right here on the top right, and you can search in our help center. It's a pretty dense documentation center, so there's a bunch of articles there. So it's really hard to get lost here in our system. It's a really easy way for you to understand. So now that we covered token, as I just mentioned, it's a way of associating your physical device with our record here device. We also are going to cover configuration parameters. Configuration parameters are basically a way of communicating with the device. So in tokens, you're just linking the device. But let's say you want to also receive data in the device and sending data from the device. To receive data in the device, you would use configuration parameters. So you can just set a key of the parameter here, a value, and then in your device, let's say you have a physical sensor in your hand, you would make a request to our servers and you would get this information. So this is basically a key and value chain that you can just request from your device and then perform some logic with it. These are the tags. This is another tab over here. I'm sure you guys recall in the beginning I told about the tags, the custom columns. So these are the custom columns. So anything you put here will be shown as a column in the list. It's really easy. For example, you could put something like customer here, and then a tag value of target, for example, and then a new column called customer would appear in the list, and in this specific device, in that column, a value of target would appear. And you can put a bunch of them. It's really easy. You can just add here, and you can do some pretty cool logic with this. I'm going to be showing this later for you guys. But just so we're not stuck here on these tags, this is the main information of how this works. Okay. We also have a payload parser. This is actually a pretty cool feature. I'm not going to be going too much in depth here, but just to make it easier for you guys to understand, this is basically a way of performing some additional logic, JavaScript logic, when data comes from your device. So what does this mean? Well, let's say your sensor or your temperature sensor sends a temperature in Fahrenheit, but you want to save this temperature in Celsius. You would use the payload parser, because when your data arrives at TagoIO, you can run a custom script that converts this Fahrenheit data to Celsius. This is just a small example, but you can do so many cool stuff with this payload parser. It's really amazing. And then we have the More tab, and you will find this tab in a lot of resources that we have. For example, buckets, analysis. This is basically where you find the extra information of your resource. Okay, so we cover devices. Just so I reinforce here what they mean, it's basically a connection with your physical device, okay? So we have a device, but this device is empty. We don't have anything in the device. And to put stuff in the device, we need to post some data. We need to insert data here at TagoIO, because otherwise your device is just there sitting and it doesn't have any data. Now, TagoIO offers a pretty cool way of you inserting data in our servers. So sometimes you have your physical sensor, but you don't quite, maybe the integration is a little bit hard, or maybe you just don't have access to sending data from the device right now. So you can quickly send data using our emulator over here. I'm not sure if you guys caught that, but over here, if you click on the device button, and then over here in the top right corner, the emulator, you can access our device emulator. Okay, so as you can see over there, I just created a new device called Webinar 101. I'm sure you guys recall, I selected a custom HTTPS protocol. So I'm going to be posting some data on this webinar, which means I'm going to be selecting this data and putting it inside of the device. Okay, so in the emulator, it automatically fills the last data that you sent. So I'm just going to select here. I'm just going to send the variable location and a location of latitude, this number, and longitude, this number. This is basically the TagoIO headquarters. So we're going to be sending this data to our device right here. To send the data, you just have to set the JSON, okay, and then press send data over here. And as you can see, the console said something. So one data added, which is amazing. It means that our post actually works, okay? So you can play around with this emulator, but the main idea of this emulator is that anything that you can post with your physical device, you can also post here. It's basically a shortcut, so you can send data through our servers in a very quick and easy way, okay? Now we have to cover also what happens to the data that you send to TagoIO. It's really simple. Whenever you create a device, it automatically creates a bucket, right? So this bucket that you create basically holds all the information of your device. So anything that you post on your device will be sent here to this bucket and would stay there. So you can also see what data there is in this bucket, okay? I'm gonna select Webinar 101. I think I have 2 buckets here, yes. Okay, I'm gonna select this one. This is the main information of the bucket. So just so you guys, I'm going to be touching on points that I said recently, but this is just to help you guys understand a little bit of the dynamics. So devices have buckets, right? One device can have many buckets because buckets are where you store the data. I mean, one bucket can have many devices. I'm sorry, I mixed up the association there. Think of buckets as this big box of data, and you can put a lot of devices in there. Okay, so in this box of data, you can put a lot of devices in there. This is why a bucket can have many devices, but each device can only have one bucket. Okay? Now, in my bucket that I just created here, Webinar 101, I previously inserted some data just so we don't start from scratch. And I inserted some variables here. So in this bucket, you can always go to the variables tab and see all the variables that you sent. I'm sure you guys recall, in just a second ago, I inserted a variable called location, and I even mentioned that it was the headquarters of TagoIO. So as you can see over here, since we associated with the device with our bucket, the location variable shows up here. Okay? A cool thing about buckets is since they hold all the data from your devices, they are pretty important. So we implement a backup for your bucket. All you need to do is head over here in the right corner and select Backup Active. And then every midnight, your bucket will make a backup of all your data and it will be safe and sound. Okay? There's a lot of more things that you can do with the bucket, but this is the main information that we're going to be covering right now, just so the webinar doesn't get too extensive, too lengthy. Okay. Okay. So just so we're gonna go back a little bit, just so you guys grasp the concepts. We created a device, and then we inserted some data into the device, and this data that we inserted, it got to the bucket, because the bucket is where we hold the data. But now is the cool part, because now we're going to visualize the information that we sent. Okay, so to visualize the data, we need a concept, the concept of dashboards. Dashboards is where you visualize the data that you sent. You can do so many cool things with the dashboard, but we're going to go step by step, very, very slow, so you guys can really grasp the concept. Okay, so to add a dashboard, it's really simple. Okay, let's say you are here in the device screen. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this. I just showed it to you. To add a dashboard, it's really simple. All you need to do is press here, Add Dashboard, in this little button. It's easily accessible. And then you have to set a name for your dashboard. I'm just gonna go with my pattern here, which is webinar. I created a device with the same name, so let's put a dashboard with the same name. It doesn't have to have the same name, just so we're clear here. And a cool thing you can do is set an icon for your dashboard. And this icon will show up here in the left side, where my mouse is, right here. These are all icons on your dashboard. Okay, so let's select an Android. It's a really popular icon. And we're gonna hit save. So it's easy as that. Our dashboard is created. It's really simple. Now we have to add widgets to the dashboard, because a dashboard is just a container. The actual visualization of the information happens on a widget. Okay, so we're gonna hit here, add widget. Okay, now we have a bunch of widgets here, but don't get too frightened if you've never seen Tagolo or never messed around with all widgets. We're gonna go step by step. We're not gonna mention all widgets, but we're gonna select a few which are really, really cool. Okay, so I separated some widgets for us to use here. I'm gonna select the dial, which is a really powerful widget to visualize information. Okay, then as you can see over here, there's my device that I just created, Webinar 101. And Widgets, as I said, are visualization, are information's visualizer, which basically means that you need to put a data in the widget and then it shows up the data in a very cool way. So we created a dial over here and we're gonna insert some data into this dial. We're gonna say, hey, I want you to render this data. And then the dial does all the work. So as I said, I prepared some variables before the presentation. I'm gonna select the temperature over here and I'm gonna hit save. It's as easy as that. All you need to do is set where does the widget is gonna get the data from. And then the widget's done. As you can see, the last data that I sent on temperature is 60. Okay, so 60 basically means that since the dial is 0 to 100, it's going to be 60% done, which is about right here. Now, this is a very cool widget, but we just created it, and it's not really very beautiful, or it's not really organized. You can do some stuff that is really cool, because you can set labels and you can customize the visual and the looks of your widget. I'm sorry, I went a little bit too fast there. I'm not sure if you guys caught it, but this is my main widget. You can do some pretty cool stuff like dragging and dropping it right here, okay? So you can put it anywhere. And to edit this widget, since you already created, you press on this little button right here and then on edit. Okay, so we're on the edit page. This is pretty cool. Now we're gonna go back to the dashboard. I'm gonna put it right here and we're gonna have a look on other very cool widgets. So I wanna show you to you guys the table, because the table is really fascinating, because sometimes you have a lot of data and you wanna display this data in a tabular way, which means you want to display rows and columns with this data, okay? So as you can see over here, we selected the table. It knows that we're trying to select the 101, okay? And variable over here, I'm gonna select humidity, and I'm also gonna select temperature, okay? Now I'm gonna hit save over here in the top, I'm sorry, on the bottom right corner, and our table is created. Keep in mind, this table only has data because, as I said before, I pre-filled this data before the presentation. But as you can see over here, you can do some pretty cool stuff with this. For example, display the humidity and the temperature on the same line in a tabular way. Of course, if you had more data in your device, it would add more rows. And then if there are too many rows, it would display a pagination system over here, pagination system. So this is a really, really powerful widget. Now we saw dial, we saw table, but there's some pretty cool stuff that you can do also with the map. Now map, it's really amazing. I'm sorry, I went in the wrong place. It's over here, add widget. Now the map is a really cool widget because it's really beautiful just by looking at itself, and it's also really potent. By default, the map, it renders anything that you put in the location variable, okay? So I'm just gonna select the variable location here on my device, webinar, and I'm just gonna hit save. It's really simple. It's gonna load, okay? Now, as you can see over here, in the beginning of the presentation, I set a location in a device emulator called the TagoIO headquarters. I specified a latitude and a longitude, and then our map can identify this latitude and longitude and render the exact point where we put the device. So I'm not sure if you guys recall, but I specified that this was the TagoIO address. So as you can see over here in the location, it says TagoIO address, which is pretty cool. There's even an option of you to open this location on Street View. Okay, so it's a really powerful widget, this map. But let's keep going because we also have a bunch of them, a bunch of widgets that are really, really amazing. I'm also going to select, so just so we're recapping here, first I selected the dial, then I selected the table, the dynamic table, And then I selected the map. So these three widgets. Now I'm going to select the input form. Input form is basically a way of you to interact with the data directly onto your dashboard. This is a little bit confusing just by definition, but I'm sure you guys are going to understand if I select everything here. So I'm just going to select my device, which I sent the data, webinar 101. And then I'm going to select over here, let's say humidity, and then temperature. I'm just going to hit save, really easy and quick. Okay, now a new widget appears, as everybody can see over here. This widget is the form or input form, whatever you prefer. And this is basically a way of you to send data using a form. So this is basically a web form, but inside a widget over here. Keep in mind that you can always drag and drop to any location that you would like. So let's say I'm going to select the humidity. Oh, a cool point before I continue. The humidity here is 75 and the temperature is 60. And this is because in our variables, this is the last value that we sent, as you can see over here in our table. Now I'm going to show it to you guys. It's really, really fun what I'm going to show because our system works in real time. So let's say I set the humidity here to 90, which is high, very high. And then I'm going to put the temperature over here to 50. And I'm going to hit send. If you notice something in the top right corner over here in our dashboard, a new humidity and temperature appeared. Again, this is because our system works in real time. You don't have to refresh your page, which is something amazing, especially if you're dealing with clients. They don't need to refresh the page. Everything that comes into Tago gets updated automatically in every dashboard that the data has any kind of correlation, really. This basically means that you don't need to worry about refreshing the page. This is the input form, or just form, as I said. And the last widget that I'm going to be showing to you guys is called card. So card is really amazing because you can display a chart inside of information of your data. What does this mean? Don't worry, I'm going to show you to you guys. So I'm going to select my device and then a variable. Let's say I'm going to select temperature now. I want to display my temperature in a card, right? Just going to hit save over here again. And as you can see over here, we have a card. This card basically shows the temperature, which is 50, and the name of the variable that we selected, which is temperature. If we were to select the variable humidity, it would display humidity and the value of humidity over here, okay? It displays 50 in the temperature because it's the last temperature that we set. But this is really basic. I'm just editing the card right now. This is really basic, the card. We want to make it a little bit prettier. To do that, you go to over here, visualization, and you can enable a mini chart. This basically displays a chart at the bottom of the widget, and it looks really good. You can define color conditions for the chart. If you're not grasping the concept over here, don't worry. I'm just going to show what this is capable of. I'm going to set the color to red. I'm just going to pick my color over here. Okay. Keep in mind, these are conditions. So you can display in your card, for example, a color if the temperature is below 50 and another color if it's above 50. We're going to be covering this in just a second. And then for the background color, I'm going to select a light pink, which I think will look really good in our widget. Okay. And then for the text color of our card, I'm going to select a white color. So it's really distributed, organized. There's the text color, the background, and the chart. I know this doesn't make much sense if you guys never messed around with the card, but you're going to see the results right now. Okay, so as you can see, it looks like a whole new widget. We define that the chart over here in the bottom first of all, we define that it's going to show the chart, right? So it appears over here. And then we define the color of the chart, which is red. So it appears red over here. We also define that the text color will be white and the background color would be a light pink. So as you can see over here, it respects all our decision and it looks really, really good. Especially if you're dealing with clients, colors always help, okay? This is basically our dashboard. And let's say you built the solution. Okay, you built it. But then what do you do? So this is where it gets interesting, actually more interesting, because I do believe it's quite interesting already. So now it's the part where you actually send this dashboard to your clients, right? There are a couple of options for you to send this data to your client. I'm just gonna go back a little bit. I went a little bit too quickly. You can share this dashboard with anybody that you'd like, but just by pressing this button right here, Share Dashboard, over here in the top right. So I'm just gonna click it, and there are a couple of options. You can share it privately, which means you can select a couple of emails and then just set the dashboard for those emails, or you can share it publicly. This basically means that you can share it to anybody that has the link. I'm gonna generate here a public share, and I'm gonna copy the link and send it to you guys, so you guys can access this dashboard on your computer. Just gonna go over here, all panelists. I think everybody got that. By accessing the dashboard publicly, you can see that everything that we did, it's gonna show up here. Just a second. And as you can see over here, everything that we did is publicly for everybody to see because we shared it publicly. But you can also share it privately, as I just mentioned, but I'm not gonna do this just because I don't have anybody to share to. Doesn't make much sense right now, but you also can do that, okay? It's pretty cool. Okay, but sometimes you want to go a little bit further, right? You want to have your custom domain shows up. You want to engage your customers with your brand, because when people access your dashboard, they're going to see this TagoIO over here, and this is great. But sometimes you want to engage your own brand. To do this, you are going to need our run and our users. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Whenever you want to have a custom domain, you want to have a custom application, you're gonna need a run. A run is basically a solution, a custom portal for your solution. I have a run here in this account. It's already configured. I'm just gonna enter here. Don't worry too much about the details. We're gonna cover it right now. So this is basically a run. It's basically the application, TagoIO application, but with your custom branding. It doesn't have any relation with the TagoIO website. It's a whole different website, okay? Now, your clients could access this domain, and then they could access also the solutions that were provided to them by you. And your clients in this context would be users. Okay. I'm not sure if you guys are following, but if you have any questions, we're gonna cover them soon. Okay. So users are basically basically clients of your application. I already have a user over here registered because I made some tests just before. So let's just start from scratch. Just gonna delete this user. Let's say you have a brand new account. So don't worry about what I'm doing right now. Let's say you have a brand new account and you wanna have a custom website for your domain. There are a couple of ways to distribute this to your clients. Your clients can go over here onto your website and then sign up, or you can sign up your clients manually. So I'm gonna sign up here. Let's say I am a client of this Acme Corporation and I wanna use the dashboard. So I'm just gonna put Mateus here, which is my name, TagoIO on the surname over here, and Mateus at TagoIO. and I'm gonna hit sign up. It's gonna load. Okay. Now, as you can see over here, it says your account was created, but you need to confirm your email before you continue. Now, we saw that there were no users in our run. Now, when we go over here in our run, there's a new user. Okay, this is amazing. It means that whenever there's a user here, it means that somebody registered to use your TagoIO run. Basically means that somebody's trying to use your application, which is pretty cool. So as you can see over here in the right side, it says active no, because this user hasn't confirmed his or her email. There are a couple of options here. They can confirm their email, or you can go over here and activate them manually. I'm not gonna go in my email, so I'm just gonna activate this user manually over here. And I'm gonna hit save. Okay. Now I'm gonna go over here and I can finally log in to my application. I'm just gonna put Mateus@TagoIO and then my password. It's gonna load. And since we are free to use this application, we can see over here, we just entered the application. This is pretty cool. Now, as you can see over here, we have the dashboards, and a cool thing, we have a custom dashboard here that we just created. Okay, you can execute this dashboard just by clicking on it, and it's gonna show the dashboard that we just created right now in just a moment. Another cool thing that I wanna touch on while we are seeing the screen is we have a custom branding over here. So, for example, we have the Acme Corp here. We have the Acme Corp logo, and we have a subtitle here. You can customize all this information in your run. So let's say you go over here to your run. You can customize the title of your application and the subtitle, which I think you guys remember is Amazing Solutions, as I just put it here. Amazing Solutions. And the logo is Acme Corp because I defined it here, the logo, okay? And the cool thing about the run is we have a nice preview of whatever your application is going to look like. So check this out. I'm gonna make some modifications here just so you guys can really grasp the concept of how potent the run is. So in here, Amazing Solutions, I'm gonna be putting Awesome Solutions. I'm just gonna change it a little bit. And Run is basically a free customization platform. Free in the sense that you can customize anything that you desire. For example, there are a bunch of customization rules here on the left side. You can customize the domain, the emails that you're gonna send. But the cool thing is you can customize the colors of your application. So let's say I wanna color a little bit blue. So let's say this color is good right here. I'm just gonna pick this color code, set it over here as well, and I'm just gonna hit save. Okay, now as you can see, this is really important because we are deploying our run. Whenever we hit save, it basically packs all the information that we set for this run and it puts online for everybody to use. So I'm just gonna hit here, success. And if I refresh this page right now, this run, you can see, first thing, the subtitle change from amazing to awesome, and also the color change. So everything is in real time in the sense that if you save your run, everybody gets the modifications pretty much instantly. Okay? I'm gonna be answering the questions in just a tiny bit. Okay. So run is really, really potent. A cool thing that you can do with your run is make a very nice impression on your user. As you can see over here, just by entering the screen, you can see that there is a very nice skyscraper city over here in the background, and the light is very dim. So you can customize all these options here. For example, in the sign up page, there's a very nice preview of how your page is gonna look. I'm gonna go over here to theme, and you can customize the background image. You can customize the opacity of the image. There's a bunch of options there. As you can see, if I increase it here, the preview gets updated automatically. Okay. Keep in mind, guys, that if you want to have a nice place to put your images that are not external, for example, let's say you don't want to use an external service to put the images in, you can also use our files. Our files are basically a way of uploading your own files to TagoIO, and they are safe and sound over here in our servers, so you don't have to keep worrying about hosting and if the image is going to go offline and things like that. Okay. Cool thing is, our run is really, really safe. So I didn't even notice what I was doing, and I tried to exit my run over here. It says that I changed my opacity and I didn't save. But just for the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to exit over here. Just going to go to the users, for example. Oh, look at that. I didn't even know, but TagoIO just registered on my website. I'm sorry, Fabio. Fabio is also helping me here in the presentation. He opened up the presentation. He just registered in my website over here, and he isn't active yet, but I could activate him, and then he would be able to enter on my website and then just see the dashboards and interact with the data and things like that. This is pretty cool. Okay, so all of this is TagoIO. There's a bunch of concepts that we didn't touch on yet, of course. TagoIO it's pretty huge in terms of features, but these are the main concepts, the main area of interaction, okay? So let's recap a bit in just 1 minute. First thing I did is show to you guys how the interface works. So on the left side here, you have the main features buttons, and then on the top right here, you have the account information. We cover devices, which are basically a way of holding your data. They are basically, actually, they are associations with your physical devices, okay? So whenever you send data to a device, it simulates basically a physical device. Whenever you send data to this device, it goes over here in a bucket. A bucket is like a box which can have many devices. So for example, if you have one bucket, you can associate multiple devices with that same bucket. Now, you send data to a device, it gets contained in the bucket, and then to display this data, you use a dashboard. The dashboard, as you can see over here, can have many, many widgets, and each of them is carefully designed to make a very nice impression on the user. So they are totally customizable in any way that you'd like, okay? And then, as the last thing that we showed, you can set a custom domain for your solutions. So this is basically a place where you configure your colors, your logo, your sign-up page, and then you can control what the users see, who the users are, and what your clients are doing, what they are seeing in your system, okay? This is basically it. Fabio, do you have anything to add to my presentation?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Mateus. We have some questions, some comments. We still have 5 minutes here. So one question that we have here is about images, if you can add customizable images. So just very quickly, I think it would be good for Mateus, if you can show some of the examples like the Brooklyn Bridge. So you don't need to follow the whole because you have other questions. So for example, here, in this case, we use the Compose widget. And what Compose is doing here is represent live right now, New York City. It's a combination of the image that's real from, this case from YouTube, but can be Vimeo, IP address. And by the way, there is not even cost to show this image here live because basically it's just a representation, but also you can add these circles. In this case, you have 3 that are composing information. On top of that, if you click in the cloud or the river, you can see the information in real time. This is a video, but also you can have an image and so on. Also, if you go to the map, you can add things in the map. For example, you can put things like image of a truck If you go to refrigerator truck, for example, I believe this one, yes. If you click in the pin, I think there is a picture. Yes. Okay, so it's loading, right? So this is just an example, but even the icons that Matteo showed before, that SVG files, you can upload your own. For example, you can upload your logo of your company, or if you have something different, like a door, a LED, a switch, you can use this. You don't need to use just what's available. Okay, so that was one question. If you have any other question, just let us know. I have another one here is why I am not able to see the logo in my run application, my Tago run. So Mateus, I believe that's because it's a free account, so they cannot save it, right? So can you just quickly talk about this? Because if people try with a free account, they can edit things, but the logo will not be applied. You need to have the add on.
Yes, of course. So Run is really potent, but if you have a free account, you still can save your run, but some modifications won't be shown in your run. For example, the logo, the background page, the background image, I'm sorry, just as Fabio mentioned. Now, to actually unlock this feature, you need an add-on, okay? So if you head over here in your custom account configuration and then just press profiles over here, you are redirected to your profile settings. So in this profile called tutorials, there's a add-on over here called Tago Run White Label. This add-on allows us to put custom images, custom logos, and custom colors in our run. If you don't have this, you can still save your run, but the modifications won't be applied.
Okay, thank you, Mateus. There is other question here. Is on our website, I can see examples how to connect LoRa, Zigfox, and other. Is there an example how to integrate Tago with cellular devices? Maybe you can go to the list. Yeah, maybe also in the list of the devices to integrate. We have some example. No, I mean inside the Tago, the admin. So if you add the device. So answer this question about cellular. We have a few here, but can have more. These are public devices. By the way, have in mind that these lists here shows just a couple of 100 devices that are public. We have a lot of customers that they don't show because they have just to get privately, and that's fine. But for example, here you have this GPS. That's one example. There are others that we may have ready to go. So he showed how to do, for example, this quick link GPS sensors that can be easily connected using TCP/IP. So that's interesting. With Tago, you don't need to use only HTTP. You can use the TCP/IP as well. Maybe the last thing here, just to finish the last minutes. Mateus, can you show where to get more information, the website for developers? I think that's a big good tip to close.
Yes, of course. So if you have any questions at any time, I mentioned in the beginning, but let's reinforce over here. You can always press this little button right here, the help button, and it opens up our help center. You can search anything here. For example, if you're having doubt on how to send data to TagoIO, you can just type here send data, and then all the articles related to send data will appear. So this is the main article that's selected, and this is the whole information that you're going to need to send data over here to our servers, okay? Also, we have a support system. So if you go over here to your account button, and then press here, support, you can open an issue to us, a ticket, as some of you call it, and we will be answering this ticket. You can select the category here, if it's a suggestion, a feedback, or a bug, and then we'll answer with a little bit more detail on how to do specific actions. Also, here on our website, in the top tab here, we have a bunch of videos of trainings, of webinars. We have demonstrations too. So here we have training, we have a bunch of videos if you're still having trouble. Here we also have past webinars. This webinar, in fact, will appear over here in the first box. So keep in mind that our website also is a great resource if you're having trouble.
Perfect, Mateus. Yeah, so next one, we're going to have a webinar soon. In fact, it will be next week, focus on Tagolo, how to grant access, work with access management and user management as well. So if you have any question, you can contact us as Mateus showed here. Really appreciate your time. Thank you. Hope everybody goes well and keep in touch if you need anything. Thank you.